Have you ever made a split-second choice that changed everything? In the serene, tree-lined streets of Willow Creek, Maryland, Officer Derek Harlan thought he was just following his instincts, stopping a black woman jogging past pristine mansions. She seemed out of place to him, a routine check in his mind. But this moment was anything but routine. It was the spark that would ignite a firestorm, unraveling his career and exposing truths he never saw coming. One wrong move, one fleeting judgment, and the world he knew flipped upside down, revealing a reality he couldn't escape. The morning sun bathes Willow Creek, Maryland, in a golden glow, its rays bouncing off manicured lawns and blooming azaleas in June 2025. This upscale suburb feels like a postcard. Kids pedal bikes down quiet streets, neighbors exchange waves from wraparound porches, and the air carries the fresh scent of cut grass. But beneath the idyllic surface, an unspoken tension simmers. Outsiders, even residents, can feel eyes tracking their every move. Dr. Alicia Morgan, 42, jogs through this pristine neighborhood, her sleek running gear hugging her marathon-trained frame. Jazz pulses through her earbuds, syncing with her steady strides. A black woman with a commanding presence, Alicia is no ordinary runner. She's the newly appointed Deputy Commissioner of the Maryland State Police, a role earned through relentless grit. Decades ago, she started as a beat cop in Baltimore's toughest corners, navigating prejudice with a steel spine. With a PhD in criminology, she's reformed precincts, authored community policing policies, and commanded respect from colleagues. Now living in Willow Creek for a fresh start, she jogs to clear her mind, her expensive sneakers pounding the pavement past million-dollar homes she could easily afford. Yet she feels the weight of subtle glances. Neighbors who don't know her title, who see her dark skin and confident stride and wonder if she belongs. Alicia's used to this. Growing up in a rough neighborhood, she learned to carry herself with quiet strength, her sharp mind always a step ahead of the biases she's faced. Her morning runs are her sanctuary, but today the air feels heavier, the stairs sharper. She notices a police cruiser idling up ahead, its driver watching her. Officer Derek Harlan, 38, grips the wheel, his eyes narrowing as Alicia passes. A 15-year veteran, Derek prides himself on his instincts, honed on these very streets. He's the kind of cop who trusts his gut, who believes he can spot trouble a mile away. But his worldview, shaped by years of unchallenged assumptions, colors what he sees. Alicia's refusal to glance at his cruiser, her poised stride, her high-end gear, it all registers as out of place to him. Why is she here running past homes with Teslas in the driveways? His mind races, piecing together a narrative that doesn't fit. To Derek, Willow Creek is a place of order, and Alicia, in this moment, disrupts that. He doesn't know her name, her rank, or her story, just the image he's already formed. Alicia, meanwhile, senses his gaze but keeps her rhythm, her breaths even, her focus on the music in her ears. She's been here before, not in Willow Creek, but in moments where her presence alone sparks suspicion. She knows the script, the questions, the demands, the subtle edge in a voice that assumes she's less than she is. Her heart rate ticks up, not from the run, but from the cruiser's slow crawl behind her. She's a leader who's stared down worse, but the sting of being misjudged never dulls. Derek's hand rests on his radio, his other on the door handle, ready to step out. He's not a bad man, he tells himself, just doing his job, keeping the neighborhood safe. But his instincts, clouded by biases he's never questioned, are about to lead him down a path he can't undo. Alicia's confidence, her refusal to shrink under his scrutiny, only deepens his unease. She's not acting like someone who's caught, he thinks, but that just makes her more suspicious. The contrast is stark. Alicia, a powerhouse who's climbed the ranks through brilliance and resilience, reduced to a stereotype in Derek's eyes. She runs past a colonial-style house, its sprinklers misting the air, and feels the weight of history, her own and the countless others who've been judged by their skin instead of their character. Derek's cruiser inches closer, tires crunching on the pavement. Alicia's mind sharpens. She knows her rights, knows the law better than most. But she also knows how these moments can spiral, How a badge can embolden assumptions. The neighborhood watches, some from windows, others from lawns, unaware of the storm about to break. Alicia's steps remain steady, but her eyes flicker to the cruiser, bracing for what comes next. Derek's decision, already forming, will set off a chain reaction neither of them can predict, in a place where appearances hide deeper truths. The quiet hum of Willow Creek's morning is shattered as Officer Derek Harlan's cruiser rolls to a stop, its tires crunching against the pavement, blocking Dr. Alicia Morgan's jogging path. He steps out, hand resting on his duty belt, his voice cutting through the warm June air. "Ma'am, hold up," he says, tone firm, laced with the kind of authority he's wielded for 15 years. Alicia slows, pulling one earbud free, her jazz playlist fading. Her expression is calm but guarded, her dark eyes narrowing slightly as she sizes him up. "Where you headed?" Derek asks, his gaze flicking over her sleek running gear, the kind that costs more than a week's groceries. "Home. Just running," she replies, her voice steady, though a flicker of wariness crosses her face. Derek tilts his head, unconvinced. "Got ID on you?" he presses, his tone sharper now. Alicia's posture stiffens, but she keeps her cool. "I'm jogging, officer. I don't carry ID." Derek smirks, a faint edge to it. "You live around here? This is a nice neighborhood." The implication lands like a jab. Her presence, to him, doesn't fit. Alicia's jaw tightens, but she holds his gaze. "Yes, I live here, a few blocks down." Her words are measured, deliberate, but Derek's eyes linger on her expensive sneakers, then dart to a Tesla parked in a nearby driveway. "Running past some high-end homes," he says, voice low, as if catching her in something. "Just making sure everything checks out." Alicia exhales sharply, her patience thinning, but her composure intact. "I know my rights, officer. You need probable cause to demand ID." Derek's smirk fades, his jaw clenching. Her calm, articulate response feels like a challenge to his authority, a defiance he's not used to. He steps closer, his shadow falling over her. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be," he says, voice dropping to a near growl. The air thickens with tension, the quiet street no longer so serene. Neighbors begin to notice. A man pauses his lawn mowing. A woman peers from her porch, phone in hand, recording. Alicia stands her ground, her breathing steady despite the pressure. "I'm not making anything hard," she says, her tone razor-sharp but controlled. "You stopped me for jogging in my own neighborhood. What's the crime here?" Derek's eyes narrow, his hand twitching toward his radio. "You're near a high-value vehicle," he says, gesturing to the Tesla, as if that explains everything. "Looks suspicious to me." Alicia lets out a short, humorless laugh. "Suspicious? Jogging while black?" The words hit Derek like a slap, but he doubles down, his voice rising. "I'm investigating. You're refusing to cooperate." Her eyes lock on his, unflinching. "I'm refusing to be harassed," she corrects, each syllable deliberate. The word harassed stings, and Derek feels the weight of nearby eyes. More neighbors now, some whispering, others filming. A white woman across the street calls out, "She wasn't doing anything," but Derek ignores her, his focus narrowing to Alicia. He steps closer, too close, and grabs her arm, his grip firm, intending to detain her. "You're obstructing my investigation," he snaps, pulling her wrist behind her back. Alicia winces, the sudden pain sharp, but she doesn't struggle. "You're making a mistake," she says, her voice low, cutting through the haze of his certainty. Metal cuffs flash in the sunlight as he snaps them on, the click echoing in the still morning. The crowd grows. A man on his porch records steadily. A teenager stops her bike, staring. Derek radios for backup, his voice clipped. "Got a female suspect, refusing to identify. Need transport." Alicia's pulse races, but her face remains a mask of calm. She knows this moment, knows the danger of escalation, knows how it could end if she weren't who she is. Her restraint isn't fear. It's strategy, a choice to de-escalate while refusing to shrink. "You don't even know who I am," she says, her words steady, carrying a weight Derek doesn't yet grasp. He tightens the cuffs, ignoring the growing murmurs around him. A woman by her mailbox shakes her head, muttering, "This is wrong." Derek's confidence holds, but there's a flicker of unease in his chest. Her calm, her refusal to panic. It's not what he expects. To him, this is routine. A stop, a challenge, a win. But the air feels different now, charged with something he can't name. Alicia's eyes never leave his, her silence louder than any protest. She knows the law better than he does, knows the system inside out, but she also knows the risk of pushing back too hard. Her heart pounds, not from fear, but from the injustice of it all, the familiar sting of being reduced to a threat. Derek, oblivious, presses his radio again, his voice firm but less certain. "Backup's en route," he says, more to himself than her. Her. The crowd's presence grows heavier, phones capturing every angle, every word. A man in a golf shirt steps closer, frowning. "Officer, what's she done?" Derek waves him off. "Stay back, sir." But the question lingers, gnawing at him. Alicia's voice cuts through again, low and deliberate. "You think I don't belong here?" she says, not a question but a statement. "You saw me running and decided I'm a problem. Why?" Derek doesn't answer, but his grip on her arm falters for a split second. He's not a monster, he tells himself, just a cop doing his job. But her words, her unshakable calm, chip away at his certainty. The street is no longer quiet. It's alive with whispers, with judgment. A woman across the street starts live streaming, her voice shaking. "This is what happens here," she says to her phone. Alicia's wrists ache under the cuffs, but her mind is clear. She's been here before. Not in cuffs, but in moments where her existence was questioned, her worth doubted. She knows how to navigate this, but the humiliation burns. Derek, meanwhile, feels the crowd's eyes but pushes forward, convinced he's in control. He doesn't see the black SUV turning the corner, its tinted windows gleaming, its engine a low growl. He doesn't know the storm about to break. Alicia's restraint, her refusal to lash out, isn't just strength. It's a shield, protecting her from a system that's failed so many others. But as the SUV slows, her eyes flicker toward it, a spark of something unreadable in her gaze. Derek's radio crackles, but he's too focused on her to notice. The moment hangs, fragile, ready to shatter. The crowd holds its breath, sensing a shift. Alicia's voice, soft but piercing, cuts through one last time. "You're going to regret this," she says, not a threat, but a promise. Derek scoffs, but deep down, something stirs. A doubt he can't shake, a feeling that he's crossed a line he can't uncross. The cuffs bite into Dr. Alicia Morgan's wrists as Officer Derek Harlan tightens them, his face set with grim determination, oblivious to the storm about to break. The Willow Creek street hums with tension, neighbors filming, their murmurs growing louder as Alicia stands tall, her calm unshaken despite the humiliation. Suddenly, a black SUV roars up, its tires screeching as it halts beside the cruiser. The crowd falls silent, phones still raised. Out steps Colonel Marcus Tate, Derek's supervisor, his face a storm of fury, eyes blazing under the June sun. "Harlan, uncuff her! Now!" he barks, his voice slicing through the air. Derek freezes, his hands hovering over the cuffs, confusion etching lines across his brow. Tate strides forward, his polished boots clicking on the pavement, and leans in, voice low but lethal. "Do you have any idea who you just put in handcuffs?" Derek's mouth opens, but no words come. His certainty crumbles as Tate's glare pins him in place. Alicia, wrists still bound, locks eyes with Derek, her gaze steady, piercing. The cuffs click open as Tate repeats, sharper. "Now, Harlan!" She rubs her wrists, red marks blooming against her skin, and speaks, her voice clear, cutting through the stunned silence. "I'm Dr. Alicia Morgan, Deputy Commissioner of the Maryland State Police." The words land like a thunderclap, reverberating across the street. Derek's face drains of color, his hands trembling as he steps back, the cuffs dangling uselessly. The crowd gasps, a ripple of shock passing through them. Phones capture every second. A teenager whispering, "No way." Tate's voice cuts in, low and furious. "That's your boss, Harlan. You just assaulted the woman who runs this department." The weight of it hits Derek like a freight train. His knees buckle slightly, his badge feeling heavier than ever. Earlier hints, Alicia's unshakable calm, her precise legal knowledge, the sleek SUV now parked ominously, snap into focus. Her composure wasn't just resilience, it was the quiet confidence of someone who'd mastered the system Derek thought he owned. The power dynamic flips in an instant, the air electric with the shift. Neighbors murmur, some exchanging glances, others nodding in quiet approval. A woman across the street, still live streaming, mutters, "He's done." Alicia's gaze never wavers, not triumphant, but searing, as if peeling back Derek's entire worldview. He stammers, "Ma'am, I didn't know." But the words sound hollow, crumbling under the weight of his mistake. Tate steps between them, his voice a growl. "You didn't ask, Harlan. You assumed." The crowd's energy shifts. Some applaud softly. A man on his porch calling out, "About time!" Alicia straightens, rolling her shoulders, her presence commanding despite the red marks on her wrists. She doesn't gloat. Instead, her eyes hold Derek's, forcing him to confront the truth. "You saw me and decided I didn't belong," she says, not loud but sharp enough to cut. "That's where you went wrong." Derek's throat bobs, his excuses evaporating. The phones keep rolling, capturing the moment as it spirals beyond his control. Tate's radio crackles, but he ignores it, his focus on Alicia. "Ma'am, are you all right?" he asks, his tone softer now, respectful. She nods, her voice steady. "I'm fine, but this isn't." She gestures faintly to the cuffs, to Derek, to the street now buzzing with witnesses. The catharsis washes over the crowd, a release of the tension that's been building since Derek's cruiser stopped her. Yet Alicia's expression holds no smugness, only a quiet resolve that makes Derek's stomach churn. He realizes too late that her calm wasn't weakness. It was power, the kind he'll never wield. The SUV's driver, a uniformed officer, steps out, eyeing Derek with disdain. The neighborhood, once so quiet, feels alive with judgment, the weight of every stare pressing down on him. Alicia's legal knowledge, her earlier refusal to bend, now makes sense. She wasn't just a jogger. She was a leader who'd spent decades dismantling the kind of bias Derek just displayed. The moment is a reckoning, not just for him, but for the system he represents. Derek's hands shake as he steps back, his badge a hollow symbol now. The crowd's murmurs grow, some shaking their heads, others whispering about justice. Alicia's gaze lingers on Derek, not with anger but with something heavier, disappointment, a challenge to do better. The street holds its breath, waiting for what comes next as the truth settles in. Derek's world has changed forever, and Alicia's strength has just begun to reshape it. Dr. Alicia Morgan stands tall in the fading June light of Willow Creek, her wrists still bearing faint red marks from the cuffs, her gaze locked on Officer Derek Harlan as the crowd's murmurs ripple around them. She doesn't gloat, doesn't revel in his stunned silence. Instead, she steps forward, her voice calm but sharp enough to cut through the tension. "You saw a black woman running and decided I was a threat," she says, each word deliberate, her eyes boring into his. "Why? Because I didn't fit your idea of this neighborhood. This isn't about me, Derek. It's about every person you've stopped who didn't have my title to protect them." Her words hang heavy, a mirror held up to Derek's shattered confidence. He opens his mouth, but no defense comes. Her truth is undeniable. Colonel Marcus Tate, still seething, steps in, his voice a low growl. "Harlan, you're suspended, effective immediately. Hand over your badge and weapon." Derek's hands tremble as he unclips his badge, the metal glinting dully as he places it in Tate's palm, followed by his sidearm. Tate's orders don't stop there. "We're reviewing every stop you've made in the last 5 years," he says, his tone leaving no room for argument. "This ends now." Alicia nods, her expression resolute, and addresses the growing crowd, their phones still recording. "This department will implement mandatory bias training starting next month," she declares, her voice firm, carrying the weight of her authority as deputy commissioner. "We're meeting with community leaders to ensure transparency. This system has to change, and it starts today." The neighbors nod, some clapping softly, their faces a mix of relief and resolve. Tate escorts Derek to his cruiser, the officer's head bowed, his world unraveling with each step. Alicia watches him go, her composure unshaken but her heart heavy. Later, as dust settles over Willow Creek, she sits alone on her porch. The same street where she was cuffed now quiet. The manicured lawns bathed in soft shadows. She stares at the spot where it happened, her mind replaying the moment. Not the cuffs, not Derek's stunned face, but the countless others who've faced the same injustice without her rank to shield them. I should feel victorious, she thinks, her fingers tracing the red marks on her wrists. But this fight is far from over. The weight of her role as deputy commissioner presses down, power and responsibility intertwined, a burden she's carried since her days as a rookie cop in Baltimore. She's reformed precincts, written policies, earned her PhD, but today reminds her how deep the roots of bias run. The victory isn't in Derek's suspension. It's in the ripple effect. Training that might change minds, reviews that could uncover patterns, community meetings that could rebuild trust. Yet exhaustion lingers, a quiet ache in her bones. She thinks of her younger self, navigating prejudice in a tough neighborhood, learning to stand tall when the world tried to shrink her. That girl is still inside her, fueling her resolve. The moral of this moment stretches beyond one officer's mistake. Alicia's voice echoes in the mind of anyone watching. Power isn't a badge or a title. It's how you use it and who you use it against. The story isn't just about her triumph. It's a call for accountability, a reminder that change demands more than punishment. It requires dismantling the systems that let these moments happen. Alicia rises from her porch, her gaze sweeping the street. She imagines the faces of those who've been stopped, questioned, cuffed for no reason other than their skin. Her next steps are clear. She'll push for reforms, meet with residents, ensure the department faces its flaws head-on. The crowd's videos will spread, sparking conversations, maybe even change. But for Alicia, it's not about the spotlight, it's about the work. She heads inside, her jazz playlist still queued on her phone, a small reminder of the freedom she was denied today. The fight continues, but so does her strength. This isn't justice porn, it's a mirror for a society that needs to look harder at itself. Derek's downfall is a start, but Alicia's vision is bigger. Systemic change, one policy, one conversation at a time. The street grows still, but her resolve burns bright, a beacon for those who've been unseen, unheard, unfairly judged. Change is coming, and she's leading the charge, not for herself, but for everyone who deserves better. Dr. Alicia Morgan's story shows how unchecked biases can blind even those with authority, turning a routine moment into a career-shattering mistake. Her resilience and sharp knowledge challenge injustice, proving that strength lies in staying calm under pressure. Yet her weary reflection reveals a deeper truth. One victory isn't enough when systems allow prejudice to thrive. We're reminded to question our snap judgments, listen to those we might overlook, and push for change, whether we're leaders or neighbors. Alicia's fight inspires us to act, call out unfairness, support reforms, or simply see people for who they are. This isn't just a story, it's a wake-up call to build a fairer world, one choice at a time. If this moved you to think about justice or power, hit that subscribe button. Join our channel for more stories that spark reflection and drive action. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What can we do to make change real? Let's keep the conversation going and turn lessons into impact together.